Hi, it's Wednesday in Holy Week, and today, instead of my weekly reflection and prayer on a Wednesday that I've been doing, I want to share with you some thoughts about the story, the piece of the story of Holy Week that's part of our Holy Week Journey kit. Now, if we were able to get one of these kits to you last Sunday afternoon or Monday, then your kit has something in it that is the symbol for today, and it will be a couple of coins that go with today's story. But if you got the do-it-yourself version, it suggests, I think, that you just take a few coins out of your pocket. So I'm going to do that because I want to show you what's with the coins in my pocket. I have some quarters, and I think I've got some dimes and nickels. I know that's not really silver, but it's shiny. But I also have this. It's a little pewter disc. I don't know if you can see it. It's got a dove on one side, and on the other side it says peace. And this was given to me at Christmas time a few years ago by some kids at the Pinoka Church. And I carry it with me all the time, in my pocket with my change, all the time. And the reason that I do that is because it's a very physical reminder. It's something that I can touch and hold on to that reminds me that there are things more valuable than money. And that kind of relates to today's story. So whether you have coins from your kit or coins from your pocket, here's today's story. When Jesus had finished teaching in the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people gathered and planned to arrest Jesus and kill him. But they were afraid that not everyone supported them, so they planned to do it secretly. Judas, who was one of Jesus' closest followers, went to the chief priests and offered to betray him. He said, "What will you give me if I help you arrest him secretly?" They paid him 30 pieces of silver. And Judas began to look for his chance to betray Jesus to the authorities. Well, once again, this is a piece of the story, isn't it? But it's the moment of betrayal. So you might, depending on the tradition you come from, you might know today as Spy Wednesday. And I'm not really sure what the origin of that is. I don't think anybody is, but there's two reasons why it's called Spy Wednesday, and they both relate to this story. One is the idea that Judas was a spy for the Sanhedrin, for the temple authorities, for the priests in the temple. The people who wanted to get rid of Jesus, they had an inside man, and it was Judas. I'm not entirely convinced that's a great reason. But nonetheless, if you are somebody who subscribes to the idea that Judas betrayed Jesus, then you could easily see how he could be the secret agent, the inside man, unless, of course, you also subscribe to the theory that Jesus knew exactly what was going on and he really needed somebody to actually turn him in so that it could happen, in which case Judas is the one who's doing what Jesus wants, so I guess he's a double agent then. Anyway, the other thing is, it might also be called Spy Wednesday because spy, the older meaning of the word spy, is to ambush or to trap. And that seems to be what's happening here. The key to all of this, though, is this piece about betrayal. So let's start with the chief priests and the authorities in the temple who want to get rid of Jesus, who want to kill him. Why? Well, because he's a threat. Okay, but before we get to the threat, let's just consider something else. If the chief priests and the authorities in the temple are being true to the law and tradition they are sworn to protect, that they believe in protecting, and they see it being threatened by Jesus, then of course they're going to protect it. It's what they do. They are being true to their tradition and their law. Perhaps not their faith, but at least their tradition and their law. But on the other hand, they might also be doing it because it's about power. They might be afraid that they're going to lose power. They're going to lose their place in society. That's what they might be afraid of, that Jesus is going to take that away. So they got to get rid of him. So they need a way. But wait, they're not exactly sure how much support Jesus has in the community. So they're afraid that there might be supporters in the community who might turn out in force, so they decide they're going to get Jesus secretly and turn him in. And lo and behold, Judas walks through the door. So Judas says, "What will you give me to betray him?" They give him 30 pieces of silver, and Judas goes off trying to figure out how to betray Jesus. And this is a point at which you might think that perhaps what Judas is concerned about is that money he's going to get. And he's going to betray Jesus by showing them where Jesus is. It could also be that he's going to betray Jesus by revealing to them that he's been telling everyone he's the Messiah and being the witness that he did that. Not really sure, but the point is, he looks for a way to turn Jesus in. And that betrayal, you got to wonder why that's happening. Is it because Judas truly just wants the money? Is it because Judas wants the money because he's done? This has not turned out the way he wanted it to. He's worried about his future. He gave up everything to follow Jesus. That 30 pieces of silver is going to help him get back on track. So he's going to get his life back. He's just worried things aren't turning out. Is it because Judas is afraid that not only is it not turning out, what if this turns into rebellion? People are going to die. Rebellions against the Romans never turn out well. Maybe he's just trying to protect the people. He's afraid what's going to happen. Maybe he's afraid that Jesus isn't going to bring rebellion. Maybe he's someone who supports the idea that the people should revolt against the Romans. And he had hoped that Jesus would lead them to that. Maybe they're just all afraid. Isn't that what's at the root of betrayal in this story, is fear. They're afraid. The authorities are afraid. Judas is afraid. They're afraid of what's happening, how things are going to turn out. They want to secure that for themselves. They want to protect that for themselves. They're afraid. Even for people who experience betrayal, right? We find it difficult to trust again because we're afraid. Fear seems to be at the heart of this. And that just brings us back to one of the most important things Jesus teaches and the words that he says most frequently. Don't be afraid. God is with you. I am with you. Soon, Jesus will show them exactly what that means. But don't be afraid. So today's question, of course, is for you. Think about it, wonder about it, where you're at, what you're feeling right now, and share with me in today's prayer. God of love, in the moments of our greatest fears, may we find your Spirit in our hearts, helping us to remain connected to you and to each other, that we might not be afraid to be honest with ourselves and each other. May we find ways to overcome fear with love and build trust with sincerity, respect, and truth. Amen. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Be well.